Hey guys, VenomousFatman here. I'm back on the bit, the boys on the tube, and I'm sitting down right now with John Rambo. In the last part, we were talking about Street Fighter and Super Turbo, his game of choice. Now we're going to kind of move away from the fighting game scene and get more into actual games that John Rambo might actually like. Games that are much more, that he plays on his spare time away from Street Fighter. So, to start it off, John, what are some of the games that are real and dear, close to your heart besides Super Turbo?
Oh, geez. I've been playing. I played pretty much every major release for the last 20 years or so. Um, I don't know. I mean, like recently, I've just beat Fable 3, Vanquish, the new Castlevania, Red Dead Redemption. So I'm pretty up on like the new stuff coming out. If you want to talk about like, back in the day,
Yeah, back in the day is more what I was getting at.
okay, A Link to the Past. It's my personal favorite Zelda game. I played the hell out of that. All the Mario games, Super Mario World, Sonic, uh, pretty much all that stuff. I love the Ninja Gaiden type of
Those games are hard.
yeah, like that whatever genre you want to throw that in. Like that game Bayonetta was another one that came out recently. Devil May Cry, Ninja Gaiden. So I like that kind of stuff.
You're more kind of like the action or like beat 'em up type of
Yeah, like the fast paced reflex requiring type of games like that.
You must have loved
Also,
Vanquish.
a fan of like the shmup genre, like Raiden and those type of games, like R Type.
What do you mean exactly by schmut genre? I mean genre.
Well, I guess they're called shoot 'em ups, so people say shmup.
Oh, okay.
The acronym used for those kind of games. You know what I mean? Like the 2D. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I just didn't get the acronym schmut. I was like, what does he mean by schmut? I'm like,
So yeah, shoot 'em ups or shmup. But yeah, there's a lot of cool games recently that have for that genre. Like Death Smiles is one on the 360, and those type of games I really appreciate. I like those games. So very tough. I like really challenging games, I'd say.
there's nothing wrong with that. That sounds pretty cool. But to get more into more kind of like genre specific, just shouting out a couple genres out at you, just so people could get a clear idea, of what type of gamer you really are. For example, out of your favorite games or some of the best games that you played thus far, let's say what are some of your favorite like RPGs or maybe your favorite action games or maybe even your favorite racing games, even if that's the case, or sports games.
Well, racing, I'd say F Zero. Well, the Super Nintendo one and the GameCube one was really underrated. I really like those. Um, the Mario Kart games, I was way into those games. So I guess I'm more into the arcade style racing. I did play Gran Turismo back in like the first Gran Turismo. Sports games, people don't really know this about me, but I'm actually a basketball fan. So I have the 2K11 right now. NBA
Really?
2K11, I really like that game. RPGs I played, I pretty much liked all the Final Fantasies except for like the newest one and the 11 or whatever the online version. Um, I also did like all the Square games back in the day, Chrono Trigger and your another Square game I liked was Parasite Eve. It was a PlayStation One game. I really like that game.
They got a new game for that coming pretty soon. I think it's the third
Someone,
birthday.
someone told me that recently for the PSP, I guess. So that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if Pokemon counts as an RPG.
Yes. Yes, it does.
I'll play with those like once every couple years. I'll usually skip one and play like the next one. So I played every couple years. I'll get one.
That's pretty cool. So, getting a little bit much more into like just games in general. With everything that's been going on with the game industry, what is it that maybe you're happy about, or what is it that you maybe dislike, or what is it that you want to see, more of in the game industry as it is now from, since the last major release that would be, Call of Duty Black Ops, for example, be
I
that.
don't think I don't think anyone knows what's going on with the games, the future. Like even the game companies and these so-called experts. I don't think anyone knows where things should go. Some people want to do 3D technology. Some people are saying everything should be handheld, like an iPad kind of deal. But I don't know. I don't know what the future is. I think a lot of stuff coming out the last couple of years has just kind of been retreads and like, I mean, I remember like a couple of weeks ago I was sitting there and I was playing Sonic 4 and I was playing Castlevania, the new Castlevania, and I'm like, this is what I played 20 years ago. So it's, I don't think anyone knows where to go. I'd like to see more new licenses come out.
New IPs.
Yeah, like something like Vanquish just came out. I really like that game. Just new titles, new licenses, and this is something I've talked about before on my channel, whatever. But at some point, someone stood up at E3 and announced Castlevania, like the first fucking Castlevania for the first time, and the recent E3s is just kind of like here's the fifth incarnation of whatever. So I'd like to see more original titles come out.
Yeah. So you mentioned E3. Of all the big events that have just happened, I know E3 already passed, Comic-Con already passed, TGS, Tokyo Game Show already passed. Of all those, which one do you think has by far been the best, overall staying with you or maybe, other people out there? As far as, like releasing titles.
I was actually at TGS, and I don't know, it was kind of just showing you stuff that you've already seen before. So I'd say E3 is probably the premier event of announcing stuff, and that's something I'd like to maybe check out one day too. So,
but which one did you feel that just recently passed was the best one, hands down, this year that just passed?
I would say E3. Yeah.
Say E3. Okay. Besides that, you mentioned a little bit, about how a lot of stuff is being kind of like reshuffled, rehashed, and that new IPs need to be, coming out and stuff like that. What do you think of new ideas such as like the Kinect or Sony Move or all this kind of like new peripheral or new type of technology that's being pushed for games? You mentioned 3D gaming being another one.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I mean, I played the Kinect with Phil recently, and we sat there for several hours and went through a bunch of games. And it reminds me so much of like any new technology that's new. It's not quite there yet. I remember like back in the day when like basically like the internet first came out and it was there and you saw like the potential in it, but it wasn't quite there yet. So I think that's kind of like what the Kinect is right now. It's like a couple years away from being really something that could be used. I don't see how it could be in a game where you have to like really have a quick movements and quick reflexes and it's going to work correctly.
Yeah.
And the other the flip side of that, I think it's sad that they're catering more towards casual players and people that probably aren't going to be around after a couple of years or so. So
yeah, that's a big thing going on now.
Like I said, I don't think anyone knows what to do. I don't think they know. I think they see money. I think Nintendo kind of opened their eyes and they see that there's money that can be made with all kinds of people, but it's like the wrong direction in my opinion. Like back in the day, the Super Nintendo Genesis era was so good because they couldn't, the way they competed with each other was by making great games. And now it's like, Microsoft has to sign exclusivity with ESPN and that trumps Sony, and then Sony goes and does something with like, Netflix or whatever, and that like they combat each other with like stuff that has nothing to do with gaming. And it takes away from the gaming aspect of it.
You have to get back to the games.
Right.
Now, to get off on a different subject, and I think this should be mentioned because this is something that's actually really cool about your channel, is that you like comic books. You're a comic book fan. And I noticed in one of the videos, I got it pulled up here, is when you were doing a review of Blackest Night and when you were talking about it. So talk about you as a comic book fan. What is, your whole stance or your, philosophies and stuff on comics?
I was really into comics, I'd say, for about 10 years. Up until about 2 years ago, I kind of fell off on it. But it's kind of like a lost art form in a lot of ways, or a lost way for people to get entertainment. But there is some good stuff coming out. I'm starting to get back into it now and then looking at stuff. And I just think comics are really beautiful, and there's something to be said about that art form,
Of most of the comics that you remember, that you've read, what are some of the best comic books that you would automatically recommend to anybody to check out?
Well, if you get into you can easily go to like any store. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of comic stores anymore. You can go to like any Borders or Barnes and Noble and you get the big graphic novels. You want to get Watchmen. which is excellent, and then The Dark Knight Returns, which is a great series of comics. So I would say those are the two that anyone should start off with, and those will pull you right into the whole thing.
Kind of going off from that, which one do you feel that you get the most entertainment out of when you read your comics? DC or Marvel, or any other company for that matter?
I've been liking DC for a little while now. I think people knock them for a lot of these big crisis type things, but for the most part they do a decent job with them, and I think they're pretty entertaining. Marvel, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with them right now. I'm not 100% up to date on it, but I'm sure they got some stuff going on. But yeah, I kind of appreciate that Blackest Night, Infinite Crisis kind of deals with that DC likes to do, throw all the characters in. So.
Yeah. So, kind of going off from that again, as a comic book fan, what do you feel about, all these animated movies or these, different, cartoons and stuff that both Marvel and DC are doing that are based, loosely, if not really based on these comics that, that are such big hits, like, for example, like Superman Doomsday is Deaths of Superman.
Unfortunately, I haven't seen one. I do watch a lot of these things. I usually get them on the Xbox and rent them or whatever. Unfortunately, I haven't seen one that really, mimics the comic 100%. And I don't really understand why that is. And a lot of the changes they put in are strange, like that Superman Doomsday, like you brought up, had weird. It was they took out some stuff and they put other stuff in, and it was why? I don't understand why they can't be a true adaptation from the comic to a movie like that. So that's something I'd like to see them try to accomplish someday.
Yeah, I mean, definitely me, you, a lot of other people as well. On top of that, it's kind of mentioned it before, we kind of finish this up. Marvel, at least, is the more recent one that's doing this, but a lot of American-based comics are kind of taking stuff, or if not, getting borrowing different concepts and stuff from Japanese comics, like anime. Mm-hmm. With Marvel, the reason why I mentioned them is because they're having the Marvel animes come out, which is Iron Man and Wolverine. What do you think about that whole thing that's going on?
It's kind of interesting because you have to realize that the Japanese comics came from the American comics in a lot of ways. They kind of I think they kind of looked at the American comics, they made their own version of it, their own style of it, and now it's just kind of coming full circle where the American companies are starting to rip off the Japanese ones instead of the other way around in a lot of ways. So I shouldn't say ripped off, but being influenced by,
Everybody's ripping off everybody.
Right. I mean, it's not something that really appeals to me. If I want to watch an anime, I'd watch something like an actual anime. I don't know if I would watch the Wolverine one, Yeah. But it's an interesting idea. I think they're just trying to make a buck and see what they can sell. So
yeah. So before I close this off, real quick question. Oh damn! I just lost my mind. Oh my god! I can't believe I did that in an interview. Real quick question. You mentioned anime. Favorite anime of all time?
I'm not a big anime person. I might get in a lot of trouble with this, but the only thing I watched completely was Dragon Ball Z. So I don't know if people are gonna laugh at that or whatever. But,
no, it's fine.
And when I was in Japan, I actually turned on the TV one morning and Dragon Ball Z was on.
Sweet.
So that was pretty incredible. So that's what it is.
There you go, people. John's level is over 9,000.
Absolutely.
So anyway, thanks a lot, John. I really appreciate you coming on the bit. I hope you had a great time. I hope it wasn't too crazy for you getting.
That was excellent, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate it, and it's an honor to be here. So thank you, and check out Super John Rambo on Twitter. John Rambo Presents is the channel, and please subscribe to the Venomous Fat Man's channel. He's got some great stuff going on there. So let's make that happen.
There you go, guys. You heard it from him. Thanks for watching the bit. Thanks, John, for being on here. We'll talk to you guys next time. From John Rambo, Venomous Fatman. Enjoy your day, people.
Peace.